time in the 2020s, two geeks from across social media formed an alliance to bring you geek news from across the Nostalgiaverse. They are Jacob's Toys and SuperSorrell. So strap yourselves in for the weekly live show that brings you toy news, TV and movie reviews, special guests, opinions, tangents, and bad impressions. Reveals, releases, thoughts, and maybe dreams. So prepare yourselves for the Geek Week in Review. Live.
Hello. Here we are.
Hello.
Episode 159 of the Geek Week with me, Jacob's Toys. And of course, the wonderful one and only, pointed the wrong way, SuperSorrell. There we go. It's episode 159 of the Geek Week. If you're a regular viewer, then hello, welcome back. We appreciate you. If you're new to the show, then join in with the comments and with the discussion that's going on. We will do our best to get to as many of the comments as we can. We go out across multiple platforms, so you might not see all the comments, but we'll do our best to get them up on the screen. How's your week been, Mr. Sorrell?
Really good, man. How about you?
Yeah, it's been a good one. Been a really good one. Yeah, lots going on.
Going on.
Yeah, there's loads going on in like the movie world and TV world, in the toy world. Had a few deliveries this week, which is cool. Got a few more things on the way, which is cool. But yeah, for anyone watching, our sort of theme this week is top 10 Disney movies. So that is what we're going to get to, but we have lots to talk about first. So a couple of shout outs quickly. We've got Joby One in, we've got Bethany Beth, we've got Shelley's in the chat, we've got Andy Roberts in the chat, we've got Hunchback of Notre Dame fan. That's very in keeping with what we're talking about this week. And no doubt, and obviously their favorite is The Little Mermaid. No, The Hunchback. There we go. We'll get to Disney in a minute. So what's gone on for you this week? Anything interesting?
Yeah, I mean, I got sent this bad boy.
I saw this, a Terrifier, yeah.
Yeah, the bad about horror people got in contact with me and said, "Would I like the Terrifier?" Like, yeah. We were wondering how they were going to get around the sound effects thing. Because obviously we know that this creates sounds and stuff. We were like, "Still talk." Well, can you hear that?
Just about. What is it? Breathing noises.
Yeah, like noises and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's like
cool.
a horn and stuff like that, clown horn and stuff. It's very cool though. It's the MDF mega scale, so it's the same as like the Chucky and the Sams that I've got and the Annabelles. So it's
awesome.
them kind of like big scale figures. So I'll be reviewing that this week. I'm well excited.
That's wicked. That is wicked. I still have my boxed Street Fighter figures to get to, but I have come up we came up with a very cool concept, and I'm working on that at the moment in the background. So not much else. I got this bad boy this week delivered. It is my Hot Toys Ultron Prime.
Oh, nice.
He looks really heavy, but he's not. He's as light as a feather. He's like totally plastic, which is a shame because I me's 2016, so it's not a new one at all. But where you got some that are like die cast and stuff now, I kind of expected him to be die cast, but he's not. He's like all plastic, but he does light up loads. His chest lights up, his arms, his eyes light up, which is all very cool. And he's got like articulated fingers, so you can do like different poses and stuff. So like, you can be really mature in having flip the bird. Ultron flipping the bird. But yeah, so he's cool. He's very cool. I'm very pleased with him. And I've been making stuff this week as well. I made a display case for my 1/4 scale Iron Man, which I will sort of show off at some point in the video because it is up here to the left of me, and it's massive. It's massive. It's like huge because obviously 1/4 scale figure has to fit in there. And I've made a case for my Ramen Racer as well because they are in the post. They are on their way to the UK people. They are on their way. So I want to get a display case for that. And I think I'm gonna have a switch around up here behind me and maybe move the helmets over or kind of get rid of my Marvel Legends Infinity War Endgame display and put them somewhere else. So yeah. But no, it's been an interesting week.
since we last were online, obviously this week was the Scream Unseen, the Screaming Unlimited showing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see
Yeah.
my
Yeah. You were
videos.
talking
See
about
my
it last.
disappointment.
Now
So
I've seen your videos, so I know where this conversation's going. But for the people that don't know, so Scream Unseen. All the cinemas do something like this, don't they? And essentially, it's
yeah.
you don't know what you're walking into, do you? It's a film. that
All you
don't
know is basically it's horror and it's going to be about an hour and a half of your time. That's all you know. That's all the information they give you. And then the
Yeah.
idea is you sit there and you wait for it to come on, and then you sort of get everyone sort of going, ooh, yeah, you get everyone's reaction when it
But
comes up.
previously, they have done like previews and stuff, haven't they? So they're films that aren't out yet, and you might be seeing something well ahead of time.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Cineworld doesn't like Cineworld normally just call them Screen Unlimited showings, and they don't tell you whether it's horror, animation, action. They don't tell you anything. Whereas this time around was the first time they've ever said it's a horror movie. They've like specified this is a horror movie. And I sat down. Obviously, I'm expecting Maxine to come up because obviously that film came out Friday. Everyone in the whole cinema was expecting Maxine, and we got that stupid movie, Nature and Violence, and it was just stupid.
Is that the one that's completely like it's from the point of view of the killer?
Yeah. It's from it's like I wouldn't say. Right, you've ever played the Friday the 13th game? It's basically a live action version of that. You are looking over the shoulder of the killer the entire time, trudging through a forest looking for people to kill. And the whole time you just hear this clump, clump, clump. I've been walking. It sounds like Jason walking through the forest in that game. It's literally just trump, 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 trump.
See, one
for
of
like
my
10 minutes at a time.
One of my absolute pet peeves is I can't stand watching people play computer games. Like if my son's playing a computer, I can't sit and just watch him play it. Like I'll play it with him, but I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't focus on somebody else playing a film. So a film like that, I can't. Yeah, I can't imagine that.
So I do. Triple G Comics was at his Cineworld watching the same movie. So I just literally messaged him and was like, dude, you need to come online and talk to me about this film. And we got online the first day I said, well, dude, what do you think? He went, utter cack. So it was literally, both of us had the same thing. It was a very funny video. But then
what's Maxine?
Maxine's out on, that came out on Friday. Maxine is the third film in the trilogy. So you got X and then Pearl and now Maxine.
Yeah.
It's the third in a trilogy of movies. But to be fair, you don't need to have seen the original ones to get it. It's just she's a porn star turned, movie star in this one, basically.
Okay.
The first film's all about her and a bunch of people filming an X-rated movie in some rural Texan house, very much looking like Norman Bates' house. And then
know how that's going to end.
Yeah, so then basically this film's about her going from the porn movie industry to the regular movie industry and becoming a big movie star, but that someone from her past shows up to put a spanner in the works. It's a good movie. Kevin Bacon's in it, Giancarlo Esposito, Mia Goth. It's got a really good casting to it, and the other film was really good. I really had a good time with that one.
Yeah. Oh, wicked. Just in the chat, chatting away between themselves, Beth and Shelley are talking about Masters of the Universe. Said that the two cartoon filmation Masters of the Universe figures landed in the UK from Big Bad Toy Store. Which ones were they, Beth?
Yeah, because I know Smiths have been getting them in recently. I know a lot of filmation ones have been dropping at Smiths.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I saw the Orco and I was kind of like, do I get Orco for my Masters setup? And I'm really on the fence.
Shelley, you sure it's a spanner they want to put in her works?
Oh dear. Come on, it's early. We don't have that kind of feel till later on in the show. But which ones are they? Which Masters of the Universe figures are you talking about? Because I saw a couple at Smith's. There was like the Evil Lynn. Which was the other one? There was a couple of others. But there was about 3 or 4 there. But Orco, I definitely was kind of like, I think I might have to get Orco. So, yeah. But
before we fully get going as well, I need to give a little shout out if possible.
Yeah, of course.
So one of my followers, Maria, got in contact with me I know she watches, but she watches on the repeat, so I want to just give her a little shout out. And she was watching my Sam video about my collection of all my Sams, and she went, "My collection's not complete until I've got this crochet Sam in my collection." So she crocheted me a little Sam figure.
That looks awesome.
It's great, isn't it? She
It
sent me
worked so well for Sam.
It does. She sent me a message saying, "I've crocheted you a Sam for all the videos you've made over the years." So thank you very much, Maria. I really appreciate it. I just think it looks awesome. Had to share.
That's really cool. That is really cool. You want to get on Etsy right now, that you'll be making a mint.
Yeah, they're really cool. I know there's patterns online for like Ghostface and Sam's, and there's patterns online for loads of them now. But yeah, the Sam one's brilliant.
That is wicked. There we go. Bethany Beth said Evil Lynn and Webster. They were the two that I saw at Smith's.
Yeah, Smiths have got them in now as well.
So they're here they're in Smith's as well.
Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff at Smiths, and Smiths are doing really well at the minute.
It's very well. Like, did you see my post on Instagram about the Marvel Legends and the Star Wars? Did we
Yeah,
do that last week, or was that this week?
That was last week, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I saw it. Yeah.
It's like they literally had a couple of Marvel Legends, like loads of Cyclops, a couple of Doc Ocks, a load of them new Spider-Man, the kind of re-releases in that fancy new box.
Yeah.
I think that was it. And then there was a couple in the kind of, they do like the discounted sections as well.
Yeah.
And Star Wars Black Series, there was literally the Clone Troopers. That was it. Was it Clone Trooper or Still Trooper? No, I think it's Clone Trooper. I can't remember. There's one type of trooper, but that's all they had. But then on the flip side, with other stuff and other brands, they're really taking over. Like wrestling, for example, like Mattel have a huge presence at Smith's, like a massive presence with the Jurassic Park stuff, Jurassic World stuff, and also the what's it called? The wrestling stuff, and what was the other Mattel one that they do? There's loads of them there. It'll come to me. But yeah, but there we go. But yeah, all good. All good. Someone's obviously scouting for names there. Andy Roberts said Smith's in Northampton yesterday was awful. Nothing of any interest. Was quite disappointing. I must admit, though, what I think is good about Smith's at the moment is that they are pulling in other brands. You've got like the Jada Toys Street Fighter figures, like these here, are showing up in Smith's before they're hitting the retailers, like the online retailers. So there are people that have pre-ordered those figures with some of the online retailers back when they were announced, who still haven't got them in hand, but yet people have been able to walk into Smith's and pick them off the shelf. So that's good.
Yeah. They've got tons of stuff. They've got tons of stuff as well at the minute. They've got tons of stuff as well with the Funko stuff. There's loads of new Funko stuff that's slowly dropping as well. Like all the new Five Nights at Freddy's stuff's going to be dropping very soon.
Yep.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Them weird comments, by the way, you just blocked. Did they come through on yours or mine?
I don't know.
Weird. I just looked on my Facebook to see that. That's why I went blank then. I was looking on Facebook to see if it was mine or yours. That was weird. What was that?
I don't know. Someone throwing their number up on
my WhatsApp number is like that's nice, Nisha, but I don't really want that. Thanks. Enjoy your day.
If you want to talk toys, just drop it in. Bax is in the chat. Bax wasn't missing this stream. Hi Bax, how we doing? Good to have you. Join him.
Is it bad that I want to go? Bax is back. All right.
I must admit though, I am really excited for the Ramen Racer to land over here in the UK, because I know I said a couple of weeks back that kind of people in the States have had it, so it kind of feels like an old toy, an old sort of collectible. But all the people in the UK that obviously supported it and pitched in are now at the cusp of having that arrive. So it's exciting. I'm excited to see what people do with that. But speaking of the Ramen Racer, obviously that came out of the ashes of the Marvel Legends HasLab, the Engine of Vengeance that never funded.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hasbro HasLab, the Cantina funded.
It did.
It ends tomorrow, is it? The final day is tomorrow?
Officially tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, and they hit their 8,000 backers needed. Unfortunately, though, like Greedo is the first unlock tier, and he's at 11,000. So I don't know whether they're going to hit any of the unlock tiers. But I don't remember ever seeing a HasLab kind of just tipping over the edge with 1 day to spare. Like usually there's a couple of days. So it'll be interesting to see if this is the first HasLab that funds with 0 tiers unlocked.
Yeah, so if we have a quick goosey gander at it,
yep,
they've currently backed. We've got 9,845 backers.
Oh, okay.
So it has gone up a little bit. They might just make Greedo.
Yeah.
But they have 1 day, 7 hours, 12 minutes. So there is still a 24-hour period. Usually you do get a bunch of people drop on at the end. And don't forget, they also add on the foreign market that isn't on the Pulse website.
Yeah. So it will,
there are backers overseas that can't use Pulse, but they go through the retailers. So there is the potential for a few more to drop on there, yeah.
Yeah, I still can't get over the 2 tier, the base one and the deluxe one. Yeah. It's a shame that it doesn't show you the split of how many people have funded it, like how many got the deluxe and how many got the base. But Steve Evans has been posting loads of stuff on his Instagram about it. I don't know if you've caught any of those.
Yeah,
but
he's really excited for it.
So I'm really pleased for all those fans out there that kind of wanted it. I am really pleased that it met its backing, because I know how disappointed I was when the Engine of Vengeance didn't fund. I was one of the sort of 7 people in the world that really wanted it in my collection. But then saying that, there's thousands of people that have picked up the Ramen Racer. So
it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but it is a cost
price
thing.
difference, though, isn't it? Yeah, it's price difference as well. Though I said the Ramen Racer is half the price.
Well, it is, but it isn't. And this is the thing: is that to have all the additional bits added to it, and then when you add postage and everything like that, like the price isn't a million miles off. It is definitely a lot cheaper, but it isn't a million miles off, and there's no figures included or anything like that. So it did feel like a lot of people kind of jumped into it off the back of kind of, well, I'm not supporting the HasLab, but I want the vehicle. So but with that said, obviously with Star Wars coming to an end tomorrow, that leaves it open for the Marvel Legends HasLab that's undoubtedly coming this year, and also the Ghostbusters HasLab that we've had teased. So I'm really excited for both of them, because we've had all the other brands, haven't we? We've had Star Wars, we've had Transformers, so it is just Ghostbusters and Marvel Legends. But any predictions on what you think they'll do Marvel Legends wise, bearing in mind they've done Galactus, they've done the Sentinel, and now they've done Giant Man?
I'm wondering. I think it could be something to do with X-Men 97. Yeah. I'm wondering whether it could be something like the day, like, you remember when Diamond Select did the Danger Room and you collected it over all the figures and you made the Danger Room? They could make something like that that's really cool, that's 6-inch scale. I'm thinking like the Danger Room for the X-Men, or like like Charles's office or something that was prominently used in. Yeah, because the X-Men 97, his office was used quite a lot with all the pictures on the wall, and there was a lot of iconic things there. And they could put the book on the table and give you a chair to put Magneto in, and they could make a really cool playset for the figures that they've released.
I would love to see a playset. I really would, or at least like a diorama of some sort. But
it wouldn't need to be that big then, would it? Either with it being 6-inch scale, it wouldn't need to be that big with it being like an office scale.
But I think seeing the Cantina and seeing it at different tiers, that you can get deluxe, you can get base, I think that they are testing the waters with a relatively safe playset to see how well it does. And I think if the Cantina only just hits 11, I don't think that will be seen as an absolute win. I think that will be seen as a kind of skin of the teeth kind of thing.
Yeah, because I wonder whether that was like testing the waters, and they might redo the Engine of Vengeance. And then they could do it where they offer the base package where you just get the car and Robbie Reyes. And then they could do the ultimate pack that gives you all the fire flame effects and all that stuff. They could make 2 separate versions of it then, and that might make it more affordable for people doing it that way.
They must be aware of these other third-party companies doing it, though, because that's surely a lot of their market. Because, I mean, that Ramen Racer went up for sale like a year ago. Like, it's now fulfilling orders. I would really personally like to see something like Fin Fang Foom.
Yeah, that would.
I think that a giant dragon would be cool for anyone's display. I think that would just be cool. I have a really bad feeling that they are going to re-release the Sentinel in X-Men 97 colors.
That would go down bad.
That's my thinking, because it would go down bad. There would be a lot of people that would kick off, like massively kick off. But how many collectors have come on board since, when was that? 2020, 2021?
Yeah.
We're looking at like 4 or 5 years, and that Sentinel goes on the aftermarket for like, you can just see mine. Look, he's there. His head's there peeking out from the boxes. But it goes on the aftermarket boxed for something like 750 quid. It's ridiculous money. It's like twice the price that it costs to back it.
Here's some thinking. Here's some logic. Like what I think could happen. I think they're going to launch it at San Diego Comic-Con on the Saturday. The Deadpool movie comes out on the Thursday and Friday in the United States, United Kingdom, respectively. Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, and Hugh Jackman are both going to be at the event. What if they did something that's related to the Deadpool movie as a HasLab and had Ryan Reynolds actually promote it? Because he would be all over that. He's that kind of guy. He's into toys and stuff. He's that kind of dude.
That'd be quite cool. That would be
and
quite cool.
What if they gave us something that's something for the movie, like the big Ant-Man skull or something, as a play set for you to put your Deadpool and stuff on? That would sell.
Pinfall's playset.
Yeah. That would sell, and like the whole, it could have it where it's got the sound effects from the film where you push a button at the back and it does the whole Paul Rudd's aged and all the silly little sound effects from the film, and have it open up so that you've got the skull inside.
I just think there'd be too many hoops to jump through for that.
I don't know. It would be criminal for them not to do a Deadpool release on the weekend the movie comes out at San Diego Comic-Con when Ryan Reynolds is there in person. It's all too perfect put tonight. You know what I mean? Yeah. That would be a marketing genius ploy, and they would get thousands of backers instantly because it's Deadpool.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
And they've never done a Deadpool release like that. Even if it was a 3¾ inch release, maybe a 3¾ inch Deadpool and Wolverine playset. That'd be awesome as well.
You're not wrong. I'm really concerned that it's going to be a Sentinel.
I'm really surprised they've never. They always seem to want to do these things where they've got to make something grandiose and massive. Do you know how cool it would be for them to team up? Because they work with Marvel. So how cool would it be if Hasbro teamed up with Marvel and did like a few figure releases that came with exclusive variant cover comic books of the comics that are out right now? And stuff like that, and tie it all together nicely and make a nice little bundle package. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I agree. But, the funny thing is when I was solely 6-inch scale, I was really off put by the idea of having a massive figure, because I was kind of like, you know what, all my figures are 6-inch figures. Since obviously changing and now doing the sort of 1/4 scale, 1/6 scale, the HasLabs just don't appeal to me as much.
Yeah, I'm saying.
But I'm kind of like, the Galactus was amazing, the Giant Man was amazing, but they didn't appeal to me enough for me to kind of go, you know what, I'm backing this and I want one of those on my shelf. The Sentinel was a bit different because it was like the first Marvel Legends HasLab. It was like a big thing. But yeah, I've got this really horrible feeling that that's what it's going to be. Because I can't put my finger on what else they would do that's big and would warrant a hefty price tag. And obviously the unlock tiers for the Sentinel the first time round, it was stacked full of extras. But they could very easily throw in some extra characters from the X-Men 97 as tiers, like, do like a Bastion, like a final form Bastion, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. We will see. We shall see. But if it is that, we'll call back to this show and we'll go,
yeah,
we called it.
One thing,
John Hood in the chat as well said he's looking forward to the GI Joe HasLab. I forget which one. Which one was the GI Joe?
I have no idea. I can't remember.
I can't remember. I don't follow GI Joe enough. Remind us what it was, John, if it's come out already. If not, tell us when it's coming out, because I don't follow Joe enough to comment.
One thing to throw up this week is Kapow Toys are actually working with Fresh Monkey Fiction by the looks of it, or somebody that's importing them, because you can now get your hands on the Count Dracula figure pre-order, the Forgotten King, and a bunch of other the Monster Force figures. So I'm hoping now they're starting to see Monster Force, we might start seeing some of the other ones like the Santas and things like that. These are all by the same company.
How many?
I'm gonna grab Count Dracula. I'm definitely gonna get him just because it's like a modern Dracula. That'd go with my Blade, and it would blend it very well with Legends and stuff. So I definitely want the modern Count Dracula.
Show the others. While you're on it, let's have a look at the others. The Dracula's a yes for me. That would look amazing.
So you've got like a Moon Knight kind of character, the Forgotten King, they're calling him, which it is Moon Knight, and it come on.
Yeah,
it still looks pretty cool. I mean, how cool would that costume be on a Moon Knight? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
A Mr. Knight with a Mr. Knight head on that body.
Yeah.
It'll look pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm not as fussed about that one. The Dracula's a yes for me.
The Dracula's the winner. The rest of them are like soldiery kind of ones. So you've got like the Crimson Guards and things like that. This is the Crimson Moon Division.
That looks very.
They all come with tons of guns, accessories, helmets. So there's some cool bits with them. But yeah, you can change the helmet out to make them look different. But yeah, I think they are meant to look very. Because I think we're about to say they look very World War II German.
No, I think he looks a little bit like My Bloody Valentine.
Ah, right, okay, yeah, it is actually. I said some of them do look like they belong in like a Blood Rain game, like German, like World War II Germany.
Yeah.
Then you got the Delta Urban Operations; they're quite cool. And again, they've got like vampire faces on them as well.
That's quite a cool one.
To be fair, it would be worth getting that one just for that head sculpt, to be honest. Then you've got these guys again. These look they look like they're inspired. Yeah, they do look like they're inspired by like a My Chemical Romance artwork.
Yeah,
it's like Gerard Way drew them.
That just straight up looks like a Hydra agent, a Hydra soldier.
Yeah. So no,
go back to Dracula. What accessories does Dracula come with?
I'm going to show you this one as well, because this is a Van Helsing. It's called Declan Van Helsing.
Oh.
He's the other one that I'm tempted to get to go with Drac. He's like a modern vampire hunter kind of thing. He's looked very urban commando-y. So,
oh mate, I'm picking that one up, and I'm picking Dracula up. And you know what I'm going to do with that one?
What?
Get a Ryan Reynolds head and make him what's his name from Blade Trinity?
Yeah. Hannibal King.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some cool, but yeah, the Dracula's the winner by far.
Yeah.
He's a very cool looking Drac.
What accessories does he come with? Does it show you?
Yeah, so we got some. He's not got as many. We've got swords and an alternate head, which is like a bloody snarling face.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Hands.
But he's
the best one out of the bunch. They know he's going to sell regardless. And $34.95 with what, a £3 postage? That's not bad to say it's an imported figure.
No.
If I was going to buy that from Big Bad Toy Store, it would cost me a lot more.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking that if they're gonna start importing these from Fresh Monkey Fiction, because they must know somebody there to get these, because they are sort of like Big Bad Toy Store exclusives. I'm hoping that they're gonna start seeing those Santa releases and things like that slowly creeping in. Because some of those did look really cool, the Santas and stuff.
Yeah. So what is Big Bad Workshop then? Is that Big Bad Toy Store's toy?
No, so the Fresh Monkey Fiction make these, and they're an independent toy company, a bit like Loose Collector, and they're a small toy company.
So why does it say Big Bad Workshop and Fresh Monkey Fiction?
Because these are Big Bad Toy Store exclusives. I think they just call them that, but these are by Fresh Monkey Fiction.
Fair enough. There we go. Just quickly, John Hood's commented. He said that the G.I. Joe HasLab will be announced at SDCC, rumored to be a Cobra Rattler. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. Wicked. All right then.
I would love to see them do a horse, like a horse for Spirit. Is he called Spirit? Spirit? The Native American character. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see like a big horse for him to ride on, because in the comics he rides like a big brown horse.
I'm just...
I know, because I was at my comic book store the other day, and he was on the cover of the Saturday morning G.I. Joe cover.
Oh, really? Sorry, I'm just
Yeah.
following some accounts quickly.
But one thing I want to show you as well this week, which I thought was really cool. Do you follow comic books still?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't buy as many as I used to.
One to pick up, mate, and I honestly mean this, one to go down to your comic book store or go online and read digitally. They're doing an event right now, a big crossover event, and it's called Blood Hunt.
Oh.
So it's Blade, the Midnight Suns, Morbius, Spider-Man's just been in thingy. So we had this book where Spider-Man and obviously Morbius, obviously being a vampire, Spider-Man's like, who's behind, because basically the sun's been blocked out and vampires have taken over New York and other places in America. So the heroes are having to rise up and try and stop the vampire uprising. Even Dracula doesn't know who's behind it, because Dracula's in these comics as well. Dracula doesn't even know who's behind it, so he's working with them. So you've got team ups like Dracula and Man-Thing, and all the darker characters in Marvel have come out for this one. And there's some really cool artwork for it. I mean, like that Morbius cover's amazing.
Yeah, that's sweet.
And it's a really good book actually, because even the heroes have turned on Blade. Because Blade being a vampire, they don't even trust Blade right now. So there's the Midnight Suns book comes out this week, and it's a fight between the Midnight Suns, so Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider, Morbius, and Man-Thing are basically fighting Blade. So because they don't trust him, so it looks really cool. It's becoming a really cool like crossover book, worth picking up.
I'll have to download that.
Pooh versus Bambi just came to a close this weekend. That were another amazing book.
No. Speaking of which as well, we mentioned this last time off air, but we didn't talk about it on air. But you interviewed Tigger, didn't you?
I did.
A line I never thought I'd say in the Geek Week. But you interviewed Tigger, didn't you?
I did.
I caught it. It's a good interview. Dude seems like a chill guy. He's like,
I got a message from him saying, "I'm free now," and I was like, when you're like, I don't want to pass up this opportunity because it may never come back around. So I'm like, all right, I'm coming on. So I had like 5 seconds to prepare for that interview. And it's called Louis Santa. He's a really cool dude. He's really down to earth, really nice guy. And we were just chatting about the film. I'd literally just sat and watched it that morning. Wow. And reached out and said, "You up for doing an interview?" And he just sent me this. Said, "I'm free now. I'm on set, but I'm free now." I'm like, "Well, okay, I'm coming."
That's
weird. And he sort of said on that thing. So I said, "Well, what? You're on set now. So what film are you working on?" I was like, "Can't tell you." Like, he went. Some of the things you've mentioned. We're talking about those. Like, he's on a film right now for the Pooniverse, basically. And he just can't tell us which one it is.
That's wicked.
But he's gonna come back. We're gonna chat again. He's gonna come on the Geek Week along with. Hopefully, he's gonna bring Winnie the Pooh with him, and he's gonna bring Owl with him. The 2 guys that are with him on set. I know. It's the weirdest conversation, isn't it?
So just stay tuned to the Geek Week, because at some point we'll have Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, and Owl.
And do you know what? I reached out to Peter Pan today as well, so we're gonna try. Mate, because I've already done David Dowsett. I'm down the rabbit hole now, mate. I'm like, fairy tale characters is the way to go. I'm interviewing these weirdos, so I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
That's wicked. That will be the most surreal show. If we can get all 3 of them on at the same time, that would be so surreal.
You need to see the film. It's so like literally. This is no disrespect, but literally they've just gone, okay, pretend Tigger is Freddy Krueger and go. And he's literally just used the word bitch about 6 times. Yeah. And he's even doing the voice and everything.
It's so that's it. But you know what? If it works, it works.
It worked in the film, to be fair. And to be fair, the second Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey explains a little bit more about why they are the way they are, because the first film didn't really explain anything, did it? They're just fairy tale creatures come to life and killing people.
Yeah, but let's be honest. And again, this is no disrespect to them at all, but the rights came up for Winnie the Pooh, and they jumped on that. They had that ready to go the day that those rights came up. Like,
have you seen the trailer yet for Mousetrap?
No.
Please go watch Mousetrap. It looks
What,
amazing.
the game?
No. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse Mousetrap. The horror movie with
Oh.
Mickey Mouse in it. It looks awesome.
Okay. As in
Down to the fact that
Mickey
because Mickey
or-
Mouse is a character, yeah. So Mickey Mouse as a character came up, and because he talks the way he does in the first ever cartoon, they can use the voice. So literally, he's going around, and all of a sudden you hear this: "I'm going to kill you!" Huh?
Wow.
All
Wow.
I'm thinking is these directors are literally just testing Disney's what do you call it, the lawyer team, aren't they? The lawyers must be sat there going, "We have to get them on something,"
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's so close to Knuckle every time.
That's insane. That is
Because
insane.
there's even a bit in Blood and Honey 2 where one of the characters, I'm not saying who gets, well, you're gonna guess which one, but one of them gets killed off and goes, "Oh bother." And it's the most, because all the way through the film he's not been talking like that. All the way through the film, they're using these kind of voices to sound menacing. And then all of a sudden at the end of the film he gets murdered, and then his last words are, "Oh bother." But it's literally in the voice of the Disney character, and it's so funny.
That's perfect. That's really good. That is really good. But that's a good segue. We're talking Disney. Let's move into like official Disney territory. So we always tried to have a theme each week, and we were talking about Disney, so it came up, and we were like, you know what, let's do our top 10 Disney films. But we didn't really specify on this. So like I can't have 10 Marvel films because they're not Disney films. I can't have 10 Star Wars films. Like, so I scrapped those and I went for like Disney. Yeah.
I did the same thing.
That's fine then. That's fine. I was going to wind you up and go, okay, at my number 10, it is Avengers. But
no, I've counted literally anything that is an official, anything that's released on, Warner, on the late Buena Vista Entertainment, basically. It's anything that's an animation or a live action produced for and by the Disney company. Nothing to do with Lucas, nothing to do with Marvel.
And Touchstone as well. So Touchstone.
Touchstone are on there, yeah. So like your Hocus Pocus and your Touchstone
I avoided Touchstone.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I pulled away from it, and I was kind of like, you know what? If it was Touchstone, I avoided it. But yeah, but there we go.
There would be a lot of Robin Williams on that list.
Yes, yeah. All right, cool. You go first then. What's your number 10?
Number 10, Peter Pan.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
I love Peter Pan. It was one of my favorites growing up as a kid. Still is. However, the film went from being about what a 90-minute movie. It's now about an hour. They cut a lot out.
Yeah, there was a lot of cuts.
Yeah, a lot of cuts in that one.
Yeah, Peter Pan. That's one I watched a lot as a kid. Yeah. The way I did it is I put my list together and then I knocked them off, like based on certain criteria, and I took Peter Pan off mine because it became the lesser of the two after I'd seen Hook.
Oh yeah.
Do you mean? So when I want to watch something Peter Pan, I'll watch Hook as opposed to Peter Pan. So that was there. And also when I went to Disneyland once, I swear Peter Pan looked down my wife's dress. I swear he did. You know how Peter Pan is at Disney. He's so
yeah.
And always like, listen, hey, and he didn't. But it was the unfortunate timing of me taking a picture at the time he was like doing this, and it just looked like he's looking down her dress. So I was like, yeah, okay, Peter Pan, I got your number. Cool. My number 10 was Rescuers Down Under.
I was never a fan of Rescuers, you know.
Yeah. See, I wasn't as much as some other things, but the Rescuers Down Under, which is obviously the sequel where they go to Australia, I just remember having it on a lot as a kid. I don't know whether it's just because we had the VHS, but I had it on a lot as a kid, and yeah, so it made my number 10 for that reason, for the sheer amount of watch time. But yeah, the original Rescuers, when you actually watch it, it's a little bit like the way they all perv over the female mouse, like it's all a little bit dodgy, but yeah, the second one makes my list.
Cool. Number 9 for me was Mary Poppins, the original.
You know, my wife's going to kill me because I left that off my list. She is the biggest Mary Poppins fan in the world. Like she adores Mary Poppins. If I want to get her a present and I get a Mary Poppins it's a winner. But I left it off my list.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of Mary Poppins. And I remember when Saving Mr. Banks came out, and that I just fell in love with that movie as well. I love that movie. But yeah, the original Mary Poppins. I mean, just Dick Van Dyke alone in it is just he's awesome.
You know why it didn't make my list again for the same reason as Peter Pan is because when I watched Saving Mr. Banks, I preferred that to Mary Poppins. There was something really magical about that film.
Tom Hanks literally becomes Walt Disney in that movie. It's scary.
100%, yeah, and there were obviously some inaccuracies and stuff, but it was just, yeah. I mean, Mary Poppins was a huge one for Disney, wasn't it? Because it was their first.
Massive.
Was it their first live action?
It was the first time they crossed in a live action movie that they crossed over animation and live action together. They did Fantasia before that, I think. No, yeah, Fantasia came before that. But this was the first time they did it like the way they did it on screen this time, like where they take a live action character and put them in a cartoon universe.
Yeah, and obviously Mary Poppins as a character wasn't an original Disney character.
No, none of them are.
No. By PL Travers, yeah. And I just love the way that Saving Mr. Banks really really kind of illustrated how passionate she was about her creation and how it had to be, you know, she was against having dancing penguins and stuff, but then at the end how much she loved the final thing.
Yeah, because it was about that whole, like, Walt Disney at the time was very much a case of just he wanted to do the animation-y bits and make it catchy and musical, and she wanted to make sure he got the concept that Mary Poppins was never there for the children. She's there to save Mr. Banks. That's the whole point. Yeah, you know, she's there to save the father, not the kids.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I still to this day reckon that Mary Poppins is the Doctor. So I mean, that is still my favorite concept on the planet.
Pennywise, mate. They're the same species. They are the same species. Okay, my number 9, coming a bit further into the modern era, was Big Hero 6.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. It was one of these kind of the more modern animations where I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, but there were bits in it that made me laugh out loud. With like Baymax and stuff. But then there was some really quite like touching moments with it as well. And obviously you get a Stan Lee cameo in there as well, which is you know, which is always good. But
my favorite bit is when he's first getting used to Baymax and he's doing the whole, like, he keeps dropping things on him, and he's like, on a scale of 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to, how would you rate your service?
Yeah.
And I love that. It's so good. But yeah, it's genuinely a touching movie, though, isn't it? You don't expect to cry over the stupid little white robot.
No. It's a really good, it's a really good movie, and there's some Baymax shorts as well on Disney Plus, which are really, really good as well. But yeah, it kind of made it onto my list, and it pushed a couple of others off because I was like, yeah, there were certain parts of it that I really like, and for a long time I quoted the little hand bit. So yeah, there you go. That was my number 9.
The Great Mouse Detective is my number 8. I know we spoke about this one the other day on some level. I can't remember why we got onto this, but yeah, The Great Mouse Detective.
Basil, right? The Basil. I always call it
Basil of Baker Street.
Basil. I always just call it Basil, the Great Mouse Detective. I kind of like just mash the two together. But
well, yeah, because originally they had to choose one of those ones that famously had to change its name, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't think anyone would understand the concept if they didn't call it that. If they didn't call it the Great Mouse Detective, and it's like, so they started taking the mick, and it became a subject on the Jeopardy program in America.
Oh, really?
So the girl who lost the glass slipper, Cinderella. Mm-hmm. So they changed the titles of all the Disney movies as like a joke and make them try and guess which one it is. But yeah, it was famous for that. But yeah, the late Vincent Price is the villain in it. Absolutely outstanding villain.
Can't beat it, can you? Can't beat it. My number 8, Beauty and the Beast.
Great movie.
Beauty and the Beast.
Didn't make my list though. I don't know why it didn't make my list, but it didn't. Great movie though.
And recently as well, I watched Hunchback of Notre Dame. I introduced my youngest son to it, and I paused it at the moment that you said with the crossover and showed her, and I was like, because my wife doesn't like Hunchback of Notre Dame, and me and my son really loved it. I quite enjoyed it, and I've been to Paris, obviously, and we've been to Notre Dame. So I showed him pictures of the actual Notre Dame and everything. And she was like, "Oh, I don't like Hunchback." And I was like, "Look, but Beauty Belle's in it from Beauty and the Beast." But no, Beauty and the Beast for me, I don't know. There was something really. It came out in that time where the song was kind of re-released by like Luther Vandross and who was the other one? Was it Celine? It wasn't Celine Dion.
Celine Dion did one. Yeah, she did the tells all the time for it, didn't she?
Yeah, was it her and Luther Vandross? I'm sure it was.
So.
But I remember the song being in the charts, and I remember the hype there was because of the change in animation and being able to do certain things with the animation. And I just think it's a really good story. I think there's the core of it. It's a really good, really good story. But
sorry, go on.
No, I was just there's so many bits to it that are great, I think.
Yeah, it's that famous scene at the beginning where they worked out that if they slowly panned the camera and moved slides, there were all the scenery was on slides. There would be like the shrub here. Then it would slowly zoom into the glass window. But they did that on a moving shot that slowly panned in, and they would just slowly move out these slides one by one to make it work.
Yeah,
it's very cleverly put together. But no, that's one of the famous. This is one of the famous Disney movies where the villain dies with a skull and crossbone in their eyes. Have you ever noticed?
No.
So Hunchback of Notre Dame with Frollo when he falls off the tower.
Yeah.
The guy from Tarzan when he gets hung, basically hangs himself. Gaston falling off the bridge. There's some others. So basically, when they die, when they fall, at the moment of death, they call it. It's the skull and crossbones are in their eyes. It's the last frame you see on all them villains. They all get a skull and crossbones in their eyes. It's a very eerie little Disney nugget, but it's great.
Did not know that. That's I'm gonna have to go back and have a look. But yeah, it was just good, and I think it's one of them ones as well that a lot of people can quote. They can quote. They know at least one song. Like it just makes it an all-time great Disney film, I think.
And again, the fact that it's the the guy who does the voice of the asylum owner who puts Belle's father in thingy. That's the same guy who voices Frollo.
Ah, okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Originally, when they designed Frollo, they designed him to look like that character. They wanted him to literally cross over into both movies. But that's why Belle's in one of the scenes. They wanted to make it look like it was set in Paris still, and have them kind of cross over. But they never fully. They changed the look of Frollo towards the end to be the minister.
Nice. Didn't know that. There we go.
Hellfire, dark fire. Very weird movie, that Hunchback.
It is. Go on, Em. What's the next one?
Number 7 for me is Enchanted. A lot of people hate that movie. Amy Adams.
Oh, I totally left this off my list, and it's a brilliant one.
A lot of people hate it, but I think it's a great parody of Disney movies. It plays into all the cliches beautifully. I love it.
I didn't like the sequel as much.
No, the sequel's crap.
But the first one is brilliant. Like, it really is brilliant.
The guy that obviously plays Cyclops, what's he called? He's the James
Masterton.
Yeah, Masterton. He's brilliant in it. He plays a brilliant role. And the squirrel, it's the squirrel trying to mime because he loses his voice, obviously, when he comes to the real world. And there's that whole scene with the
I just like the bit with all the New York animals, like the pigeons and the rats and the cockroaches, because it just, like you say, it just makes a perfect like mock out of Disney films. But yeah, no, I think it's brilliant. There's some really good numbers in that as well. Really good numbers in that. Okay, my number 7, Toy Story. Yeah. It was the first in a big change for Disney films, wasn't it? So it's Disney Pixar, but it was still Disney, and it signified a big like directional move for Disney. But also at the core of it, it was a fantastic film. Like, and even though it is so old now, you can still put it on and watch it and enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, it's still a great movie.
The same way that kind of people can sit down and watch the original Star Wars trilogy and see past the date of it and the kind of age of it, Toy Story is the same. People will sit down and watch it, and you know, like I'm sure your daughter as well has watched it at some point. Like my kids have all watched it, despite it coming out long before they were born.
Oh
So,
yeah, Paige loved Toy Story for years when she got onto that one.
and I remember when it came out as well, like we had all the toys in our house. We had like the Mega Drive game. Like it was one of them things that just we had everything. We completely bought into the thing that was Toy Story.
Buzz Lightyear, to the game was it? Oh, was that Toy Story 2? That might have been Toy Story 2 actually. The PlayStation game, Buzz Lightyear. Yeah, because you played as Buzz, you had to save Woody, didn't you? That game was amazing.
Yeah.
I remember that one. So
I am, and as well, it doesn't count as my other numbers, but the sequels are all equally as good. Like,
to be fair, I've got one of the sequels on my list. Because I actually like one of the sequels better than the original.
Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a toss up between Toy Story and Toy Story 2 for me. But I said Toy Story just because it was the original. But I count, when I say Toy Story, I think of the whole scale of it, and that's also all the little shorts that they've made as well, like the mini movies they've made. Like Toy Story as a franchise is just amazing. So yeah,
the fact that they somehow keep getting Timothy Dalton to come back as Mr. Pricklepants amuses the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Doing Toy Story of Terror, him in Toy Story of Terror is the best.
Yeah. But here we go. Go on, Em. What's your number 6?
Hercules.
Oh,
I'm looking forward to the new remake with Ariana Grande. I think that's going to be amazing. But the original cartoon is you can't beat that one. The music in that is amazing.
You know what? It didn't make my list.
Oh, the gospel tunes in that they bell out is just amazing. And Hades.
That's my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good song. Such a good film. Yeah.
And the fact the guy who played Hercules, that played Hades in it, he ad-libbed 90% of those lines. He had a basic script and he changed it up every time. He just had a bit like Robin Williams and Genie. He kind of just made it his own thing. He gave Hades an attitude, which is great. You
know, I think the sad thing about Hercules is that it was quickly forgotten at the time. It kind of came out. It was there. It came out. People enjoyed it, and then they were on to the next one. And I think it's a shame it didn't kind of solidify itself as an up there Disney film.
As a young man growing up in the Renaissance Disney period, I have to admit that none of the Disney princesses could hold a candle to Megra. Megra was my girl.
Fair play. Okay, my next one, a little bit of a sidestep, but The Good Dinosaur.
Ooh.
Yep.
A Western told by dinosaurs.
Really didn't like it when I first saw it. Didn't like it, but my youngest son absolutely was obsessed with it, and it was one of them ones where it was on all the time. It was on every day, to the extent where I then just kind of fell in love with it, and you kind of really, the story is very touching, like what it is.
So I was in the cinema with my wife watching that one when it first came out, and I remember saying to her about 5 minutes in, "Friggly watching, this is annoying and terrible." And then that scene where the little boy can't talk and he explains what happened to his family, but he's drawing and he says about the fire and stuff. Oh my god, that destroyed me.
Yeah, the bit where where Arlo loses his dad straight up was kind of like, whoa. And especially because he was like, he wasn't very brave and he was just trying to be brave to show his dad he could do it. But it got me. And then that bit, like you say, that just tipped me over the edge. And I was like, when I actually sat and watched it properly, I was like, this is actually a really heartfelt story. Like, it's written very well. And I think if it wasn't a Western told by dinosaurs, the story in itself would probably hold up a lot better. But I think a lot of people kind of discounted it because it's talking brontosauruses, so and there are some really, really funny bits in it as well. I love it when the Triceratops type dinosaur tries to steal Spot, and he's like, if I name him, I can have him. It's like, there we go. So Good Dinosaur makes it on my list. And again, because of my kids, because I've watched it so much with my kids, it makes it a good Disney movie for me.
For number 5, I need a ukulele.
Oh,
Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest.
and
Yeah, Robin Hood. Love Robin Hood.
Yeah. That's I didn't make my list as well. How did that not make my list?
Sure to be known as John the Worst is soon to be known. The greatest king of England. Every single song in that I can quote. But no, I love that film in general. I just like you. The story itself is quite short, but they had that little side quest with the little 3 little kids in it. The bunny rabbit, the tortoise, and the other little bunny. Yeah, the little side thing with them in it.
I just always think to the scene where Robin Hood and Little John dressed up as the women and stole the rings off his fingers, like sucked the diamonds off his ring. Like it's just it's such a good film. Yeah,
there was some dark scenes in that film when you watch it back now, because I at least watched it about a week ago on Disney Plus, and there's some dark scenes like when they capture Friar Tuck, put a bag over his head and then shove the chain around his neck so he can't see, threatening to hang him. That's mental for a kids' film. But again, these all came out in a very different time area, but still, that was quite a serious bit for a kids' movie.
Yeah.
Great film.
My number 5 is Moana.
Ooh.
I am Moana. Again, it's one of the ones my youngest daughter absolutely loves it, and it's on. And I personally think Moana's a better film than Frozen, but Frozen got the hype, because of Dina Menzel and stuff, and obviously the main song and everything. But when you think like the girl that's the lead, I can never remember her name, but she's like 13, and when you listen to the songs, it's incredible. And how do I put it nicely? For Dwayne the Rock Johnson to be in a film and I forget that it's Dwayne the Rock Johnson says a lot, but yeah, I just think it's a really good film, and I love it's got it all, hasn't it? It's got Boba Fett in it. He plays the dad. Like he's got the Rock. Cole
Scherzinger.
Yeah. But it just
there's so many people in it.
I don't know. It just it was a little bit different than the regular Disney films. Like you kind of expected the pig to be that kind of comical animal sidekick, and then the pig's not in it. That it's got Jermaine Dupri shiny as as what's his name, the giant crab. Like one of my favorite things. And it's just it's just really good film. And I read a theory the other day that she dies in it. Have you seen that theory?
No.
So this messed with my head a little bit, right? So the theory is that when she's in the storm, she actually dies.
Okay.
And everything you see after that is her in the afterlife, because after that storm, she never meets another human. Every character she meets is a like an afterlife character. So you've got like the little coconut people, you've got Maui, you've got what's his name, the crab? I can't remember. It will come to me in a minute. She sees her grandma, she sees the ghosts of the past, like all these things. And then basically her reward at the end when she sees I forgot the name, but the big island that I've gone blank.
Yeah.
But, at the end when she returns the heart, Maui Tafiti, Tafiti gives Maui his hook back, but all she gives Moana is a boat. And the theory is that she gives her that's the boat back to the real world.
Back to the real world.
Because then after that she goes home. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting theory. And I love it when these theories kind of come out and you kind of go, oh yeah, okay, that could kind of make sense. I don't think it's true, but it kind of makes it interesting. But yeah, I love Moana. I love Moana.
The girl that plays Moana as well. Did you ever watch on Disney Plus the it's completely on left field, but the Little Mermaid live action 40th celebration that they did in Anaheim Disney?
Yes, yeah. Oh, it was Shaggy.
Yeah, with Shaggy in it as the.
Yeah.
I don't get it. They had that cast. They did that live action thing. Then they made a live action Little Mermaid movie. Didn't put those people in it.
No.
Even down to Queen Latifah as Ursula was perfect.
Yeah.
You couldn't have picked a better casting than that.
No. She was fantastic in that. Absolutely
Even
fantastic.
the comedy relief of the guy playing the chef as well. What's he called? Him from Full House and that. They even had him as the chef. Like that. Even that as a bit of comedy relief would work in a live action film.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they made that diabolical live action movie. Anyway.
Yeah. That's it.
Number 4, Roger Rabbit.
See, I didn't include this because that was Touchstone, wasn't it?
Roger Rabbit at the time when it came out, the film was by Touchstone, but Walt Disney owned the rights to Roger Rabbit, and they put him in the parks. He was actually at one point. He's not anymore, but they call him the Fab Five in Disneyland. You have Mickey, Donald, Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and then Chip and Dale. They were the Fab Five originally.
Yeah.
They had Roger Rabbit, and they called them the Fab Six for a while. Roger Rabbit was brought into that mix.
Wow.
And he was a park mascot in Disneyland for a long time. Then he got relegated for Daisy.
Wow.
They kicked him out to put Daisy in because Daisy started becoming more popular because Donald Duck obviously needed a girlfriend like Mickey had Minnie. Done it, so they introduced him. But they kicked out Roger, and he was never seen again in the parks after that. He kind of disappeared.
Wow. Why did they not make a movie about that? That would be a great movie about his downward spiral after being kicked out of the group.
Do you know what? The Epic Mickey games, if you ever played those, I am honestly surprised that never became a cartoon because the idea that Oswald was, a reluctant kind of Disney forgot about me because he made you, that could be an amazing movie. Mickey Mouse versus Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. That'd be an amazing movie.
That would be good. That would be good. Okay, good shout on that one. My number 4 is Princess and the Frog.
Oh, I can't believe I didn't put that on my list.
Yeah,
great movie.
Again, I think it's one that is quite often overlooked and forgotten about, but the music in that is fantastic, like absolutely fantastic. And the story, again, the way they span it on its head, and instead of her, you think of Princess and the Frog and you instantly think she's going to kiss a frog and he becomes a prince, but the way that they span it on the head and she becomes the frog, and the song Dig a Little Deeper is just brilliant. Like going down the bayou, dig a little deeper, like they're just such good songs. And it's just kind of Friends on the Other Side, like there are some really good, the voodoo magic, the whole bio element of it. And I think it's just because obviously being a big Gambit fan and he's from the bayou and stuff, like it was just like, oh brilliant, they're doing a film here, cool. But
so
I'm a big
every
fan.
time I went to Florida, we stayed at the Port Orleans Riverside Resort, it was called, in the French Quarter. But they originally that hotel was called Dixie Landings, and it was based on like Dixie track style, like Southern America. And they had like the old Osprey Theater and things like that there. But then once Princess and the Frog came out, that hotel got a very quick revamp and became known as the Riverside and French Quarter Resort. And they basically made beignets and gumbo, and it was very much based on Princess and the Frog. And we stayed there more or less every single year we went to Florida because it became our favorite resort. And there's something about waking up there on like the bayou thing, waking up every morning to the sound of Down in New Orleans. That song from the film. It was awesome waking up to that every day.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant. It's one of my favorites. Go on in, top 3 now. This is getting real.
Number 3 for me is Toy Story 2. We kind of touched on it earlier, but yeah, Toy Story 2 was my favorite of the franchise, and it was the one that nearly didn't happen. They Disney wanted to make it, and it almost went straight to DVD. But it was John Lasseter that said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it properly, and basically delayed the movie about 6 months and made the better film. Because Disney were just trying to pump out sequels, and they demanded a sequel from it because Toy Story was so good. And John Lasseter was the one that was like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it properly. Toy Story 2, one of the best in the franchise, introduced Jessie, Bullseye, Stinky Pete.
It's just how they, the concept of Toy Story, the story was so original and so good. How they wrote a sequel that was better is beyond me. Like it's, Toy Story 3, Toy Story 4, and of course the spin-off movies are kind of on par. And it's like, okay, yeah, they've kind of extended it or whatever. But Toy Story 2, like you said, really elevated the franchise. And that only happens with a handful of films, you know, like where the sequel is greater than the original, and I think Toy Story is up there, like without a doubt.
I think as well, Toy Story 2 probably speaks to us and other toy collectors because it has that element to the movie, especially that really satisfying scene with the old man with the little chair and where he's sprucing Woody up. How many of us would love that little playset? There you go. I mean, how many of us as collectors though would love that little box playset?
Yeah.
To put your fingers in to spruce them up.
Yeah. It's that's definitely thing. And that wasn't there like a Disney short about that character?
Yeah, playing chess in the park.
Yeah, he was doing something, wasn't he? But
It was
I remember
Pixar short for a film festival. It was when Pixar was trying to be artsy.
It was long before like Disney Plus and all that kind of stuff, but I remember there being like this thing with that character. Okay.
Gerald, I think they called it Gerald's Game after the Stephen King thing. I'm pretty sure they did, or something like that.
I think you're right. I think it was called Gerald's Game. My number 3 is Jungle Book.
What the original?
The original Jungle Book. Yes. Yeah. Just as a kid, I watched it over and over and over again, and it was just one of them ones where I just loved everything about it. Bethany Beth has said Jungle Book live action movie, and I have to agree with you. When the live action Jungle Book came out, I was
Which version?
The Disney one.
You mean the recent one? They're all Disney ones. The recent one, or are you on about the Disney Rudyard Kipling's version?
No, the one with Bill Murray as Baloo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you not know there's another one?
What?
So there was a film in the 90s when we were kids, 1994, Jungle Book. It was a Disney movie. It was the first time it was adapted to live action. It was based on the original Rudyard Kipling's book, so it's got the elements of Tarzan to it. And it was the guy it was made by Stephen Sommers, and it's got Jason Scott Lee. You know, the guy that played Bruce Lee, and he was in Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
Oh,
he played Mowgli. Yeah, that was a Disney movie. That was Touchstone. It was a Disney film.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a Disney movie. No, I'm talking about the recent one,
Baloo
one with Just because, and Christopher Walken as King Louis and stuff like
the weirdest King Louis ever.
I was really reluctant to go and see it, and I took my 2 eldest that were obviously younger at the time, and my son was terrified of like Shere Khan and a giant orangutan and all that kind of stuff. I think I've given him some kind of psychological damage taking him to see it, but it was, it just kind of it ticked the boxes for me as a fan of Jungle Book. As a little kid, I loved the Jungle Book, and I remember having also as well, like again, we grew up in London. There was lots of pirate DVD, pirate VHSs floating around, and I remember my grandma got me, bless her, the Jungle Book VHS like long before it was out on VHS off of some dodgy guy on the market, and it had like a printed cover and a sticker on the VHS, and I just thought it was the best thing ever because I was able to watch it over and over and over again, and I just loved it. So yeah, Jungle Book.
That's the thing, isn't it? Just to before we go into the top 2 here, just to go into that, kids today won't even understand that, mate, because of streaming. Back then, Disney would only release, even though the films were donkeys years old, they came out in the 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, they would only release so many at one time, and they would literally re-release them and call them like the Diamond Edition, the Platinum Edition. And they would literally release 2 films every couple of years and then put them back in the archive and stop printing them. So they could keep churning them out over the years. And it was only after when Disney Plus kind of came along, but Netflix probably, where they stopped doing that because DVDs stopped selling. But yeah, I remember when they kept releasing them. I've still got a load of the DVD ones that were called Platinum Editions. I've still got loads of them. I remember getting excited because Snow White got re-released on DVD. How sad is that?
At one point with the DVDs, I was trying to get, because do you remember they released them with numbers on them?
Yes.
So they were released with numbers. And this must be 12, 13 years ago. and I was like, I'm going to get them all. I'm going to get
Yeah.
them all, but trying to track them down. I've got to kind of just give a little bit of an emotional story here. So my Jungle Book for me, as I said, with the VHS and everything like that. My grandma passed away last January before last, and we're in the final stages at the moment of our house being sold. So our house is going in the next week or so. So I was up there yesterday clearing the loft out, and there was a couple of extra boxes that just needed to kind of go through and everything like that. And there was one box with kind of some bits and pieces of mine that she had kept, and the VHS of the Jungle Book is in there. And I was like, that's you know, it's just it's been set up in this loft for however many years. I don't know whether it's the original one or the pirate one. So I need to look at this with a fine tooth comb. But yeah, so when we were putting this list together, I was like, wow, the fact that I even found this like the day after I did the list was a real thing. So yeah, the Jungle Book for me is always going to hold a good a place for me. But here we go, top 2. I can't guess you. I literally, based on the other 8, I can't pick them.
Mine are varied. Number 2, Sleepy Hollow.
Wow.
So the Adventures of Ichabod Crane, as they called it.
Yeah.
The Adventures of Ichabod Crane. And it was just the music in that, again, is very oldie, but I love it. I love it so much. And that's every Halloween without fail. My wife loves that one as well. We both can quote it off by heart. But I'm trying to think of the guy who does the voiceover in it. It's, what do you call him? That does Christmas songs.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name off the top of my head now. I'm trying to Google it right quickly to get his name. It's going to drive me insane. I was hoping to come across it really quickly, but I'm not. But yeah, anyway, it's the guy who does all the Christmas songs and stuff. He sings all the songs in it and does all the voiceover. Bing Cosby. Yes. And it's just one of those films, isn't it? Because obviously all of the characters don't really speak in it. It's all him. It's him narrating it, isn't it? The whole thing is him just narrating it like he's reading a book. And the song in it, Spooks Have a Midnight Jamboree. It's just such a good song. It's on my Halloween playlist every year.
That's a really good shout. I would never have called that one. All right, my number 2, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, is The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, love that.
The Little Mermaid is one of my all-time favorite Disney films, and I don't know. It just, I think it just came out at one of them times where I was kind of old enough to appreciate it for it just being a film, but young enough to still be kind of caught up in the magic of Disney. And I was kind of like, this is really cool. Like, look, we've got sea monsters and princes and talking crabs and sharks, and it was just all, yeah. But I don't like the live action.
I'm not a fan of live action.
There's
nothing, and it's nothing to do with her. I just didn't like the style that they went for with it.
No, for me, Sebastian the Crab needs to be how he was portrayed in the cartoon, in the animation.
All of them need to be like that.
How he has to be, like, you know, Flounder needs to be this little fat kind of guppy fish. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just like there were elements of it that were good, and I was kind of like, okay, this kind of works. But all in all, yeah, the Little Mermaid as a cartoon, and surprisingly as well, I really enjoyed the sequels, watching them with my kids. And the Disney kind of straight to video or straight to TV sequels, like Hunchback is a prime example. Like Hunchback 2, the animation quality just drops, the story element drops, and it's just a very inferior sequel that, like you say, a cash grab. But The Little Mermaid 2 shows her and Eric's daughter basically going back to the seas. It's like the reverse of, and it was just enjoyable. My daughter absolutely loved it at the time, so I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah,
the sequels were a different thing. Because obviously we had like Return of Jafar, where obviously famously Robin Williams wasn't in it. They got a sound alike to do the genie. It was the guy that was doing the voiceover in the parks at the time. And that sequel was great. It's a good sequel if you watch it. It's a great movie. But you could just tell that Robin Williams was not there. There was just somebody trying to do a Robin Williams impression.
But he came back for the third one, didn't he?
He did, because
Yeah.
obviously he reconciled with Disney. Do you know the reason for the fallout? So he basically said he will do the genie. He wants him, but he didn't want a massive wage for it. He just wanted to meet, just a voiceover's wage, and he didn't want his name put on there either. Because famously at the time, Disney would make a film and it would be called Hercules. They wouldn't put the voice actors. They wouldn't put the names of the celebrities doing the voices, because they wanted kids to, it's Hercules. It's not an actor. That is Hercules. They wanted that magic. Like they never said Jodie Benson is Little Mermaid. It was just the Little Mermaid. So when Aladdin came out, it was one of the first times because they put Khan, I forgot his name, the guy that voiced Aladdin, his name was on the actual thing, and they put starring Robin Williams, because obviously they used his name to sell the movie, and he fell out with them for that. He was saying, you can't do that. It's a Disney movie. I am the genie. He put his heart and soul into the genie to make it a proper character. So they had a massive fallout over it, but he managed to reconcile with Disney for the third film, and he came back for the third sequel.
Yeah, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, what's your number one?
Are we going to do any honorable mentions first before I go for number one?
Okay, I got a couple of honorable mentions. I just didn't, in case they cross over. Yeah, but they might cross over with our number ones.
Okay, we'll do that.
Let's do our number ones, and then we'll do some honorable mentions before we finish up.
So my number one is dear to me because both of my grandparents got Alzheimer's as they got older, and Coco, I felt touched on that a lot with the grandma forgetting, and then the music would make her remember.
Yeah,
that scene at the end with Miguel singing that song to her could make me cry every single time I watch it. I just literally turn into a blubbering wreck. Yeah. But yeah, that film is beautifully done.
It's a stunning film.
Movie. Yeah,
that's the first one on my honorable mentions, Coco.
And the fact that the comedian Fluffy is in it as well. He plays the little security guard at the office.
But just because, the fact that it was just so overlooked, like how Coco isn't. And when I say overlooked, is when I compare them to things like Frozen and how mammoth Frozen is, but then you've got films like Moana, films like Coco that are absolutely stunning. Like Coco is a beautiful film, and for anyone that hasn't watched it, they need to watch it. It's just there's so many layers to that film. Like all the main characters have something that pull on your heartstrings. Do you know what I mean? There's something there with all of them. Stunning film. What an amazing number one.
And the fact that they did it for me was as well. They don't. Ernesto de la Cruz, you know he's going to be the bad guy, the guy he's looking up to. You know, you kind of get that he's going to be the bad guy.
But I didn't call it the first time I watched it. I didn't call it. No, it really.
I called it, but it's that bit where they explain how he did it, and he basically poisoned his best friend. Like that's nuts.
Yeah. Oh, and the bit where the guy disappears, the last person forgets.
In the little hammock.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so my number one, we've literally just talked about it anyway, is Aladdin.
Yeah, great.
Aladdin for me is one of my favorites. For Robin Williams, just because the genie character just became, not because it was Robin Williams, but just because he became so just huge as the genie. The genie was, you ask anyone about Aladdin, they think of the genie first. That's the character they think of first. But it was just one of them films that similar to The Little Mermaid. It kind of, I was old enough to appreciate it, but young enough to still appreciate it. And there was all the games, like the Mega Drive game, with where you spell like abracadabra out on the keypad and it gave you like unlimited lives or something. It was just good. And I remember I had this shows my age as well, but I had a cassette book, or my brother or sister had a cassette book of the film, and it was like a 20-minute cassette, 10 minutes on each side, and it basically narrated the film and played you like a line of each song, and it was just it was just fantastic. And I'd listen to that at night time and sort of go to sleep listening to it. I was just like, listen to Aladdin.
I probably can't do it now because I haven't done it in a lot of years, but I used to be able to do the voice of, the little henchman guy at the very beginning. I used to be able to do that voice perfectly when I was younger. I don't think I do this. I used to be able to do his little voice like perfectly, and everybody expect everyone to laugh with that at school. But no, that if you ever get a chance on Disney Plus, they do have the making of Aladdin, and there's a whole section on Robin Williams, and they basically had a rough sketch for the genie. They had a rough sketch of what they wanted him to look like, and then basically they put Robin Williams in a voice booth and just told him to go. They gave him an idea of what they needed, and they just let him. And he took it. Apparently, he did like 50 takes of every scene with different jokes, different routines, because he was a stand-up comedian this time. So he just ad-libbed, and they would literally then go away and make the animation around what he did, and they would copy his hand gestures and everything. Like they made him the genie basically. They would use all the little ad takes and things he did. Like some of the scenes with Sebastian and stuff was jokes that he did in the booth live. Like he was reading the book, he goes, crab, and then obviously they turned that into Sebastian. But yeah, he made all those jokes on the fly.
Yeah,
it's also it's one of the Disney films that has the most Easter eggs in it. It has the most amount of Easter eggs in it. Oh, like at the end when he's set free and he puts a Goofy hat on and he's got a T-shirt on this, and I'm going to Disney World.
Yeah, it's just. But also as well, I just remember Jafar being a really menacing villain, and he was the first villain that I found really menacing without him being a monster or a supernatural kind of. He was just an evil person that was out for himself. And I know obviously he kind of got powers and stuff towards the end and in the sequels and stuff, but in that original one, he is just a really bad guy.
And he's super seedy. If you look back at that now as with an adult's mind, he is the seediest dude on the planet. Trying to marry the princess. Turns her into that red version in the outfit that he puts her in. He makes her turn all sultry and stuff. That's just messed up, man.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get to some honourable mentions. That's a good list. And we didn't have any crossovers either.
No, we didn't. It's that you've got to think there's over 100 Disney movies that we could have chosen from, and that doesn't even count the live actions.
Just quick couple of people in the chat. So Shelley said Bedknobs and Broomsticks is a second favourite. That's a very good one. Bethany Beth said Hook. I don't know, is Hook Disney?
It wasn't originally. It was a Touchstone movie, but it wasn't originally a Disney movie, but it is now. Same with Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Originally, it wasn't released under the Disney label. It was released under. It'll come to me. It was released under a different label anyway. But then late 25th Entertainment over the years, because it was Dick Van Dyke and things like that, they bought it because people thought it was there anyway.
Disney movies, Black Cauldron. Black Cauldron's a great film. Triple G in the chat as well said Black Cauldron as well. Okay, let's have a couple of honourable mentions.
Famously, Black Cauldron was the film that broke what's called Bluetooth. The guy that made it, Don Bluth. It broke Don Bluth, that movie. Disney came in and they basically said, we're going to edit this movie. And he says, you can't edit animation. And basically this guy from Disney went, watch me. And they tore that movie apart and he hated it. And he left the Walt Disney Company and formed his own studio with Steven Spielberg. And they made that film, the Mouse Western. Do you remember that from back in the 90s? American Tail. And they made all those kind of movies.
All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Never. They looked like Disney movies, didn't they? The art style was very similar.
See, I always joke as well because I had all of those videos and not the Disney ones. The Disney ones I had the knockoffs of, but I had these ones, and I was kind of like, these are my not Disney films. And I introduced a lot of my friends to things like All Dogs Go to Heaven because they were like, well, this isn't a Disney film. They're smoking, and I was like, no, it's not a Disney film. This is different. Like, strap yourself in. Honourable mentions them. So Coco was going to be on mine because I just think it's a beautiful film, but you've obviously put that in as your top one. How many have you got? I got 3 here.
I can go for 3, yeah.
All right, my first one is because I didn't put any live action on mine, and I didn't put any live action on mine because I wanted to keep it kind of animated.
Okay.
But I have to put Pirates of the Caribbean on as an honourable mention. It's difficult to kind of remember back to just the first Pirates because there's been so many and the franchise got so big. But when that first Pirates film came out, it was amazing. Like it was the first kind of live action Disney that was kind of stood on its own, if that makes sense, from my kind of memory.
Yeah, and for a lot of people who have never been to the parks, they would have had no idea. But that film follows very closely the original ride attraction, right down to some of the scenes with the dog where they're trying to get the key from the dog. That is literally lifted straight from the ride.
Yeah, straight as you go in. And I remember going to Disneyland Paris, or Euro Disney as it was called, the year it opened, and going on Pirates of the Caribbean and just being obsessed, like, and just singing yo ho ho ho. Like, you just became obsessed. And then the film came out, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, this feels the same, but it's different. But then the fact that they rebranded the ride to include Jack Sparrow in it just goes to show the sheer magnitude of that film franchise.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, that's one of my honorable mentions.
One of my honorable mentions, Three Caballeros.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of seen as being a little stereotypical now, but if you can look past that and look at it for the animation and the style, that was where they were testing the waters. And these films were made post World War II when tensions with Latin America were at an all-time low. And it was one of the films that was made to kind of bring relations back between the United States and Cuba and, the Southern American, Latin America. And obviously they created the characters of Panchito and Jose, which are some of my favorite. I love the Three Caballeros boat ride in Epcot, but they are very stereotypical now. You've got to think it's a gun-toting Mexican and a Cuban smoking parrot. But I love those two characters. I think they're amazing.
Yeah, no, they're good. They're good. Tarzan, honorable mention, only because like the soundtrack is just like, we haven't mentioned Lion King. None of us mentioned Lion King, and I love the Lion King, but people always talk about how amazing like Circle of Life and Elton John singing it. But Tarzan was Phil Collins, and there are so that the song that plays over the kind of opening bits where you're kind of establishing the story and the mum's lost, and the gorilla's lost her child, and the baby's lost his family, and she finds him and adopts him, and it's so beautiful, like so beautiful. And like you mentioned earlier, it does have one of the most horrendous death scenes in any Disney film. Like, you literally see somebody get hung, like, which is unheard of.
It cuts to the shadow of his body just swinging.
Oh, but it's just, we watched it the other day, funny enough, and I just absolutely love it.
Do you like the idea that Tarzan is basically Anna Nelson's little brother?
Well, the creators of Frozen confirmed this, didn't they? Because they also were the directors of Tarzan, or one of them was the producer.
Few others, yeah.
There was a crossover somewhere in the production teams, and they said that their ship goes down here or something like that. But I don't buy into it. It would have meant that they would have had to have left Anna and Elsa, been at sea for so long that she got pregnant and had a baby. So you're looking at like a year at sea. But
the thing is, there's no. She could have been pregnant before she got. They just never. You know what I mean? There could be. There's elements there that you wouldn't.
It could happen. It's.
No, it was one of the things where Disney wanted to put in back in the day, as we said, like with Aladdin. Disney animators would like to put Easter eggs in from other Disney movies. The new animators want to do that as well and pay homage to the originals by doing that. But the thing is, people today do that thing because of the Marvel effect and because of Star Wars and that. They want to connect the dots. So people see like, oh, the ship looks just like the one from Little Mermaid, because the animators basically did that to make it look like that, to make that is the Easter egg. It's the ship from Little Mermaid. Same as with the Tarzan thing. The kind of the eggy on it's just an Easter egg.
But then in Frozen 2, they kind of contradict that, because obviously they then find the ship, don't they, in Frozen 2?
Yeah, they do.
So,
and as well, you had like Tangled go to the Elsa's coronation, don't they? You see Rapunzel and Flynn in the crowd.
But no, I was quite happy with just Mrs. Potts turning up as a thing. But no, I just think I think for anyone that's not seen Tarzan, it's one of them ones that you've got to kind of see, and Phil Collins. I love Phil Collins, his voice, his music, and it just fit the film perfectly.
Did you have the famous Tarzan toy as a kid that had his throwing spear action?
With the
Basically, his hand did that.
yeah, the kind of circular hand for holding a spear, but then the arm that kind of done this. So if you clicked it round, it was in a different position, and
you could basically make Tarzan do that. Yeah, it got recalled very quickly.
I also love as well that on one of the main artworks of the film, it shows him swinging on a vine, but he's not holding the vine, so he's clenching it in his bum cheeks. It's like the only way he could possibly be swinging on that vine is by clenching it in his bum cheeks. But yeah, that's just great film. Great film.
Honorable mention: George of the Jungle. George of the Jungle.
Great one. Yeah.
No one dies in this movie. They just get very bad bubbles.
Just what Brendan Fraser, like one of his best roles. Like he's just, and even the sequel as well, when they make a point of like, Judo could not afford Brendan Fraser. It's just so
expensive.
Yeah, it's a great film. Very, very funny film. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Very similar to Tarzan, but like a comedic live action.
Comedic. But then, for me, it was the. If you look at the cast now, they're all famous actors, which is quite funny. But at the time, they were all nobodies. But what I love about that film is the stupid comedic things like did you just argue with the narrator?
Yeah,
stuff like that. I like all them stupid scenes.
Yeah, no, it's a very good film. My last honorable mention: Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? It would have come near the top of my list, if I'm honest, but it wasn't a Disney film. It was a Touchstone film. It was released in 1992 as a Touchstone film, and then it was re-released by Disney in 2005, 2006, something like that. And then officially became a Disney film, but it wasn't originally a Disney film. And that's why I do quite class it as a Disney film, but it's kind of it's like a new Disney film.
Yeah, Tim Burton. A lot of people credit Tim Burton for that film a lot, where he had a lot of influence on it, but he didn't write the movie. He didn't actually make any of that up.
It's like Tim Burton Presents, isn't it? It's kind of, it's not him.
He was the artistic style that they used, but the original story was written by a completely different guy.
Yeah, and directed by someone else as well. It was like his name is attached to it, but it's not the same, is it? But no, and again, it's one that my youngest son is obsessed with, Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'm really pleased that it's now under that Disney umbrella. But obviously, originally it wasn't. It's just a great film. It's a really good film. But yeah, there was loads. There are loads that I could have put on this list. Like I actually really struggled to narrow it down to 6.
Yeah, because then you've got to, like you say, you could make a whole. We could make a whole show basically just on the live action ones, because there's films like Mighty Joe Young and Flubber, and there's so many of the live action ones that we've not even had a chance to get into.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the thing, is that we've not really touched on live action. And I think it does get really muddied when you actually think of all the studios and everything that Disney's now bought out with, like Marvel, Star Wars, Touchstone, like all of those kind of things. Where if you actually, I think there is a list somewhere that's got all of the films under the Disney umbrella, and it's mammoth.
They own everything. But I mean, we didn't even touch on things like obviously since Disney Plus came out, we've had like the Chip and Dale movie. That was absolutely amazing. That was one of my favorite films.
Incredible film.
On there. Yeah. And obviously there's films like Encanto and Dinosaur, and there's just so many. The Goof Troop movie. I could go on. I could literally talk about Disney for days.
But you know what I think it is? I think a lot of the films on my list, and by the sounds of it, a lot of the films on your list as well, had some kind of emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
And I think the modern era of Disney doesn't have that.
No.
Modern...
Or is that because we're older and we don't all the films we've mentioned are ones that we've either grew up with or became attached to for a different reason as we've got older, a more mature reason. Do you not think like your kids and my kids, like they're attached to Anna and Elsa and Tangled?
No.
And...
Shall I tell you why? Because we were attached to those films as kids without merchandise.
Yeah,
without that, those films sold themselves as films. Whereas now you look at Frozen, for example, the amount of people that are obsessed with Frozen, but it's all of the stuff that comes with it, the play sets, the dressing up kits, the the figures, the toys, all that kind of stuff. It's not about the core film, it's about everything else that comes with it. Whereas for us, things like Basil the Great Mouse Detective, like what merchandise did you have to go with that? You didn't. You had the film, you had the story, and that's the same as things like Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast. Like, yes, there was merchandise that went with it, but we weren't sold that as part of the film. The film locked itself in. Like, I can quite like Little Mermaid, second on my list, and I can quite confidently tell you I had no Little Mermaid toys or merchandise as a young boy, but the film stuck. So I do think they will become the classics for future generations, but I don't think it's the same. That's just my opinion. Yeah.
But obviously, as well, over the years, I've been lucky enough that me and my wife have done several trips to Disney, and we're both obsessed, especially in his 20s when we were met. So we were both a bit obsessed with Disney for a long time. We went to Disney parks, and I've been to Florida and Anaheim, and I've been looking to go all over. And Disney will always have a special place in my heart. Always.
Yeah, Disney. You can't hate Disney.
Some people try to. Some people do try to.
Yeah, you can't hate Disney. And yes, there are things in some of the older movies that, by today's standards, don't sit very well. But they've kind of rectified that by putting out the warnings and stuff like that. But you know what? Here's the reality. There are things that are coming out now, today, that in 10, 15, 20 years' time, people can look back and go, oh, how did they get away with that?
Look at Friends. I mean, that didn't come out that long ago if you think about it, we're not that old. And that came out when we were younger. And now today on Netflix, it has a warning.
Yeah.
Because of the jokes in it. Same with, I've got to admit, as much as I joke about the Disney Plus warnings for the movies, my favorite one still to this day is Cruella de Vil. And it is on 101 Dalmatians, it says, warning, smoking. Like, they're overlooking a big part of that film if they're just bothered about smoking.
She wants 100 puppies, but you're worried about her having a cigarette. Well, okay, cool. That's fine. Yeah. Now, they were cool. They were good. I think the only other honourable mention I would add, and I've just thought of this one off the top, would be Wreck-It Ralph. Just because Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet. There's so many Easter eggs in there for kind of our age group that I just thought it was brilliant. And again,
Wreck-It Ralph one as well, especially because it was literally the gaming movie that gave you the Easter egg that you always wanted as a kid and how you imagined your games console was when you turned it off. But Wreck-It Ralph 2, for just the scenes where they basically were taking the mick out of themselves as Disney for owning everything, where they basically had all the princesses in the same room and stuff like that, and then the stormtroopers broke in, and that stuff is awesome, and they crossed over everything.
Just such a great film.
Just one last thing was, like we were on about with the censorship and changing and stuff. So obviously Aladdin got a lot of flack for some of the lyrics in the opening number. But as well, did you know, if you watch back now, if you look back, like the one we had a kid, when we were kids, it wasn't, the world was different. We didn't understand cultures like we do now. And there was that scene with Sultan where he kept saying like, "Dear God, if you have children." He kept saying "Dear God," which obviously is a massive offense if you're Muslim. So they changed it. He now says Allah in the movie. "Dear Allah." Yeah, they dubbed it in. Which I think that stuff like that I think is great as well, where they do try and it's not just big bad Disney, we're poking fun. They do try and correct things along the way as well. And there's loads of the stuff like that on Disney Plus where they've gone in and re-edited lines in and stuff like that.
Yeah. Last one, Bethany Beth's thrown in Lady and the Tramp.
I was never a fan of that film, you know.
You know.
Didn't know it for me. 101 Dalmatians, I think, because I grew up in that era. So 101 Dalmatians was like big when I was growing up. So I mean, Lady and the Tramp was never that big.
Lady and the Tramp and the Aristocats.
I mean, you've got to admit, come on, even us as kids even knew them Siamese cats were wrong-uns.
Yeah.
Even we knew that felt racist when I was a kid. You know what I mean? That felt odd. Even as a kid, that was like, I know this is wrong.
Yeah. It was like, this is the kind of thing that I'd get told off at school if I was doing. Like, why am I watching it in a Disney film?
Same with the Aristocats as well. You look back at that and go, Jesus.
Yeah. But the reason I've got to thrown up Lady and the Tramp is that Lady and the Tramp is one of the main reasons why we got Disney Plus in the first place. Because remember, they did the live action Lady and the Tramp?
Yeah.
And it was Disney Plus.
God, yeah, I've not seen that yet, you know.
No, but my wife really likes the Lady and the Tramp film. It's one of them ones that it would be on her top 10.
Yeah.
And so when they announced that Lady and the Tramp was going to be Disney Plus exclusive, I knew there was all this Marvel stuff coming, and I was like, "Oh well, let's get it. Let's get Disney Plus just for you." Oh, it's Marvel on there as well. Oh, this is great. We'll keep it. you know. But no, it was one of them. It was one of the original kind of come on our streaming service. This is what we've got. So
yeah.
But those two films are prime examples of how some of the racist elements are. And again, how did this not make it onto any of our lists? But Pinocchio, the original Pinocchio. Just
that's
so
harrowing.
wrong.
That is scary.
It scared the life out of me. Scared the life out of me as a kid. But there we go. So that is our list. That is our top 10s. That was a good one. We've gone a little bit over. Episode 159 of the Geek Week. This week we talked Disney. If you've got any ideas for future shows that you want to hear us talk about, or you want to jump in on the conversation, do let one of us know, and we will for sure put it into our schedule.
I've got a good one for next week.
Go on, Em.
Films that feature toys.
Ooh.
So toys, like Robin Williams' Toys movie. Yeah. Think a lot of Small Soldiers. Think of films like that. Films that had a heavy influence on the toy industry.
Child's Play. Okay. Okay. So next week we'll do films featuring toys. That's a good shout. Yeah. Do check out the description of the videos if you're new to the show, or new to the show, or if you're a regular watcher, check out the descriptions of the video wherever it is that you're watching it. All the social links for myself and SuperSorrell are there. We will be back next week with episode 160 of the Geek Week,
where I can guarantee we will 100% be talking about Turbo Man. So brace yourselves.
Oh yes, I'm going to really have to think about this one because there are a lot of films.
There is.
Okay, we're gonna have to do our homework on this one.
Indian in the Cupboard.
Oh mate,
great movie.
Mate,
there's so many good ones.
Okay, I'm gonna yes,
I've sold you on the episode now. I've sold you on the idea. Sorry, I keep interrupting. I've sold you on the idea now.
That's it. That's next week. Everyone that's been chatting along and throwing your films up in the chats, we do appreciate you. Thank you very much. Once again, doesn't matter where you're watching, as long as you're watching us, give us a like, a share, subscribe, or just a message to say hi. We appreciate any kind of interaction. It's very much appreciated. I think that's about it, isn't it, for this week?
Yeah.
Cool. Brilliant. Well, there we go. From me and SuperSorrell. We'll see you next week for episode 160. Films that include toys. Till then, keep it geek.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and of course subscribe. Tune in next week for another live show. Until then, keep it geek. www.geekweekinreview.co.uk